Happy new moon, everybody. Okay, it's new moon, it's March, and we are focused. This kicks off our month-long intention of remembrance. Remembrance, our mystical awareness. So this kicks everything off. We're going to talk about the moon in Pisces. And just to get started, you guys, you women, introduce yourselves, your names, and where you live, and just a word. What do you feel like right now? What's life like at this moment?
I'm going to let you go first, Kathy.
Okay, I'm Kathy Marie Howell, and I am in Lexington, Kentucky, and feeling a little different. I feel better now that I'm settled and relaxed, but more than one word there. But yeah, I feel all of that going together. So whatever that, I don't want to say chaos because it's not chaos, but yet lots of energy.
And I'm Mo. I'm in Oceanside, California. And only one word, Ember?
We have a hard time with one word. I know. I've been saying that for a few months, and it's difficult for us. So, okay, a small phrase.
I mean, if it was one word, I would say excitement, because excitement can be good and bad, and it's kind of a little bit of everything, like Kathy said. So,
yeah.
How's that? One
That's
word.
good. That's
okay.
good. That's good. All right. My name is Ember. I am in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm feeling a little exhausted. But that exhaustion has a level of, not one word. Exhaustion is the word, but it has a level of excitement to it as well. It's a good exhaustion. Okay, so remembrance, our mystical awareness, and this entire month we're going to focus our energies on the Pisces energy, on the third eye chakra, spiritual growth, and inner peace. So Kathy, would you like to start us on kick this ritual?
Yeah, got our candles here, our beautiful candles. And let this flame represent the wild spirit in each of us. As we awaken our own wild spirit, we awaken the collective spirit. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to start us off with a meditation. Set this aside so I didn't burn anything here. And if we want to take 5 deep breaths just to center ourselves to start. And as we're doing that, if you want to lay down or if you want to just shut your eyes and just completely relax, that's a great time to do it. And just close your eyes and really feel that it's okay just to be. See if you can relax into this time just to be with the inner space. See if you can notice that you are breathing, feeling it as it dances through you, allowing each exhale to be deeper released, letting the floor just hold you. I invite you to consciously connect to that which you consider to be sacred or divine, opening up to a more spiritual dimension of consciousness. This part of us that is always there, We just have to remember to remind ourselves just simply to be. If you would, imagine right at your heart center is a pink rose. Right at the center of your chest. And it is glorious and fragrant. And it is yours. As that rose gets more and more at home there in your chest, it slowly starts to turn like a wheel, round and around, in no rush at all. It twirls, circles, dances, whirls right at your heart. As your rose whirls, it emits a pink mist, like a very gentle fog machine. And the more you breathe, the more the rose turns. And the more the rose turns, the more mist is released. Filling up the whole room. This mist is something special. It has a kindness and a tenderness to its feel. There is a sweetness and beauty in it. Your body responds to being immersed in the mist of this love, unconditional love. The heart, the rose, they are great friends. The rose is a symbol of love. The spiritual function of the heart is to love. Rose is a great medicine for the heart. So let this rose, this spinning, this mist, be a healing force, a balm for whatever is aching in you, for whatever is hurting or sad or shamed. The rose spinning, the mist spraying, reminding us with every inhalation that we are not broken, reminding us that we are actually perfect in our perfection, reminding us that we are loved just the way we are. Helping us to remember the gentle giant force of love that exists in the world, so powerful in its ability to heal and shift and heal and open doors. We humans actually love to love. We are good at it. We just forget. In this room, in this moment, feeling that rose at your heart, the mist in the air, consciously reconnect to that which you consider to be sacred or divine. Ask in that space, that source, is there anything you want me to know? Listen. Say thank you for any guidance you're receiving. Now ask yourself, your heart, what does it feel like to be connected to that which I consider to be sacred or divine? It may be a physical sensation, energetic. Hold that answer in your heart. Remember that this is a place that you can come back to over and over again. using your intention to do so and your attention to make it so. When you're ready, slowly bring your hand gently over your heart rose, touching it with gentleness and thankfulness. Take the other hand and place it on your lower belly, just below your navel, and exhale long. Slowly open your eyes and seeing the room you are in. Move to your journal, keeping a soft gaze and a soft focus. Take time to write and or draw anything that you want to remember. What messages did you receive? What did you see and or experience? Taking note of the things that felt important to you. Taking special note of any guidance you received from that which you consider to be sacred or divine. And taking time to write what it felt like to be connected to that sacred divine source. Once completed, signal by placing your hand over your heart, and Ember will guide us through this month's talks. So let's take a moment now.
Everyone ready? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so here's our list for the month. All of our system of correspondences, all of the modalities and connections that will keep us close to this mystical awareness, this remembrance for the month. Our mantra is, I take responsibility for my special gifts and allow myself to trust the conclusions I reach through them. The color is indigo and white. We can use amethyst and crystal quartz stones. Any sort of fish is one of the animals, along with an owl. We have several numbers with this. We have 6, 7, and the number 11. Water is our element. East is the direction. Sundays and Wednesdays this entire month are going to be the best days for us to do our work. Silver is the metal. Our planet is the moon. Food. We have coconut, leeks, almonds, and I'm going to say salmon. Got to throw it in there. Jasmine and frankincense will make wonderful incense. And essential oils and plants and herbs gardenia is one, and I'm going to throw rose in there too as well. All right, so the new moon actually happens tomorrow morning, 9:05 a.m. Eastern time. And there's some interesting planetary stuff going on, but I don't know. Mo, you've been really focused on some of this Chiron Aries stuff. You wanna take it?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so everybody knows Mercury has gone retrograde. That's always a fun one. I sent you a screenshot of my computer. I went to my downloads, and my computer was trying to download a file that said it was created in 1984 today.
That's crazy.
And then the next one,
it was actually like created 2 months ago, right? Exactly 2 months ago.
It was our new moon chat from 2 months ago, and somehow my computer decided that it was a file from 1984. So I was like, oh yeah, Mercury retrograde is definitely here. But I think for me, the big one has been this Chiron and Aries. We moved into Pisces, I think, in 2010, and it's been Chiron in Pisces for almost 10 years. And it was late last year, it retrograded out of Pisces for a brief time and went into Aries. And then it moved into Aries and retrograded for a second back into Pisces. And now it's like in Aries now, and it's going to stay there for the next, I think it's 8 or 9 years. So this is like a serious lesson. I personally have Chiron in Aries.
In your chart?
Yes, in my chart. And, you know, Chiron and Aries really, I kind of condensed it down to the Piscean question is, who am I, kind of, and Aries answer is, this is who I am. So it's, you know, this warlike masculine energy that's really, you know, asking us to define what our masculine is. And Chiron being the wounded healer, obviously, you know, we've got the wounded masculine that needs healing. So I think it's really, for me at least, the focus has been, you know, all of this third dimensional warlike action of, you know, filling out paperwork and opening businesses and, you know, creating contracts and spending money and, like, you know, holding people to their commitments and, you know, holding boundaries and creating energetic protection and all that stuff that can be so exhausting, like you said, Kim. And then mixed with this Chiron energy of, you know, the wounded healer. Well, if you're wounded and therefore you become a healer in that specific area, what does that process look like of healing, right? So I'm excited about the fact that we have, you know, 9 years to work through this energy. And that's kind of, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, because it's, as a collective, you know, we are kind of, you know, like our retreat is saying, awaken the inner goddess. But at the same time, in order to properly awaken the goddess, we have to awaken the God within us as well to match that energy. So yeah, that's the focus with that. And if you want to tie that into remembrance, you could, you know, Kim knows, I was telling her a story earlier about a situation that has kind of shook me to my core. And, you know, everything that I've ever spoken about in regards to, you know, the masculine and the patriarchal system and all this kind of stuff. And we talk about this a lot on our calls, but this specific situation kind of triggered me into this remembering a feeling of what it feels like to be persecuted. And I think the feminine aspect of spirituality, of course the masculine as well, but a lot of the feminine has experienced extreme persecution in this past, Piscean age that we're moving out of, and I felt it. I felt, obviously I'm not worried about being burnt at the stake anymore, but I felt that kind of, that level of like, whoa, what's, this is, I haven't had to deal with this in a long time. Nobody has, tried to tell me that my path isn't correct because I'm not following, a Judeo-Christian God, for instance. So, remembering the spiritual teachers that have gone before us that have experienced persecution and maybe even martyrdom, being burnt at the stake, if you will. There's a lot of wounding. Chiron, being the wounded healer. There's a lot of wounding in that story, because in order for someone to be burnt at the stake, there had to be a group of people that collectively agreed that that's what needed to happen. So, that's a storyline that needs a serious amount of loving kindness and forgiveness. So I'm feeling it.
And do you feel any different than you did this morning when this really hit you? Is a day making a difference, I guess, is what I'm
Yes,
saying.
it is. Not only that, but it's also what I realized is that these kind of, I'm going to call it an attack. This kind of an attack happens when you're making waves, when you're shifting out of your status quo, when you're saying, this is who I am. And, I've been very vocal. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. And it really ticked a specific person off. And, but coming around to it, just, that's that line of don't take it personal has been big today, as well as, hey, I must be doing something big for, outside energies to decide that it's time to lay it on thick and try to trigger everything patriarchal, like trying to pull me back into this old mind paradigm of shame on you for not following, the spiritual precepts that other doctrines have defined. We're blazing our own path. Yeah. So
I've had that so much before, like, and it's been months since I haven't had that. So it's interesting that you're saying that it's coming back up for you.
Could you explain more about that? Like,
yeah.
People telling you something like you're going to hell?
Oh, that's exactly it. And they actually don't say it to my face, which is, I think, is really interesting. A lot of times it'll be in a text or a message, typically.
This one was by text message specifically.
Yeah, I think that's the, more easier way to do it for people, because they want to say it, but they don't want to confront you so that you can actually have a conversation about it.
Right.
And Kim and I have talked about it several times, that people have reached out and said, they have a feeling, but not necessarily about me. But and so it's like, I really do feel like, now's the time to speak up. And part of what I feel very strongly on is keeping with that Ho'oponopono prayer. Keeping that on my altar now. Like that's going to become a staple, because I really feel like the more that we can do that and say that, I think that's going to help with our healing. We just have to collectively pray that prayer for everyone.
I thought it was interesting that an animal came to mind, Mo, when you were first talking about this morning, and it was almost as if you, as a goddess, awakened inner goddess, like I'm in deep and working in classes for the retreat, and I was like in deep with this, and I was visualizing you as this huge, bigger than life goddess, and a chicken pecking at your heels.
Yeah.
And even though it hurts, and even though, especially coming from, you know, someone that you deem close or more on the inside, an internal attack almost.
Yeah.
That, you know, just that an animal would turn around and attack you, something that you wouldn't expect to be different than, say, a wolf attacking you from the outside, but a domestic animal attacking you from within. And that little peck hurts more than what some, you know, a wolf attack would, for example.
Right.
Taking it to that animal energy. But it's interesting that it's all, that you guys said, it's all like through text, or Kathy, like some of yours in the past have been through social media, just, and I guess all of yours is too, Mo, really.
Yeah.
You know, being so
what's
vocal.
funny is the text message started out with, "God, you're such a coward."
Nice. Okay.
I'm like, okay. Yeah.
Did you engage with them? So once,
it was a paragraph, and I just wrote a, you know, like a witch would sound, and blocked him. I'm like, I've got so many good, amazing things going on, and I had such a full business day today. I didn't have time. Like, even the amount of time that Kim and I texted about it, and, you know, I did reach out to other people too. So I did spend a bit of time on it today, but it was really just coming to, you know, a place where, I mean, I could feel the pain and the confusion and the frustration, but no, I didn't intend to respond. In fact, the text message was because I blocked him on Facebook, because it's just, you know, again, that chicken pecking at your feet, just wanting to argue. And it's not, I'm not even sure that this person actually believes what he said. I think it was more about trying to just get my attention and trigger me to show my nasty. I don't know. But it did hit me for a second, and I was like, I've got too many good things going on right now to worry about somebody who is trying to just bring me down to his level where his mindset is. So, you know, I mean, it was definitely a Chiron and Aries kind of moment, for sure. It was wounded masculine trying to fight.
Knowing how to trigger you too.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
but
how,
then
or how it used to work. It used to work.
Yeah, but it was so outrageous. It was actually funny. That's why I did you know, ha ha ha, because I was just like blown away. I'm like, really? I don't even think you believe this. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
that's the energy. I really feel like that now people are just going to be triggered, you know, so that's where I guess I have to offer the love, and that just infuse everything with love.
Yep. And that's what I did when you were doing that meditation. It was a good one for me right then, because all day today I was like, yeah, so this is going to happen more and more, you know, as we continue to evolve the conversation. And it's just part of the process. You know, the only constant we have is change. So if people decide to change their perspective and decide that they think that I'm risking my mortal soul by focusing my spirituality on my own choice and path, I think that's him coming from fear of his own mortal. When I read it, I was like, everything was just a mirror.
Yeah.
But it definitely triggered like this super deep physical fear of persecution. So, and it was a physical experience. Like, I could almost hear myself like walking in chains down like a dungeon hallway, like on my way to be burned at the stake.
So how did you change your feeling, or how did you, when you started feeling that way, did you change your feeling, or
No, I didn't
you just
actually.
simply were in the moment?
No, I mean, when I was feeling that, I was like, wow, that's an old story. That's in my DNA. That's a story from my ancestors. Like, that's some real shit. Like, am I willing to die for this? you know? So, and I think that, you know, in past ages, there was a lot of accusations that were incorrect. Like if you look at the Salem witch trials, for instance, when I went to Salem a few years ago, basically the tour guides explained to us that it was all about land. They were literally accusing people of witchcraft to execute them to take control of their land and property. So, you know, these kind of things are not always focused on a spiritual thing. It may be, you know, for other reasons, but I didn't try to shift out of it. I just took it all in, like you were saying, like that chaos energy, and just said, take it all together and, you know, get comfortable with it. So, yeah. And it's about remembering, you know, like you said, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Because there will come a time in the future, I know, where this person is going to be like, that might have been a little too much. Then again, maybe not. I'm not waiting.
Yeah. Yeah, just offer that love and let it go.
Yeah.
Love and release. It's like fishing, just love and release.
Wow. Yeah. Our water sign.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with this intense Pisces energy, there's going to be a lot of let it flow. And how deep do these waters run?
Yeah, like Bruce Lee said, be like water, because, you know, of all of the elements on the planet, water wins in the end. Whether it's liquid and flowing down and creating a new pattern in a rock, or whether it's, you know, freezing over and or coming down as snow or going up as condensation, it wins eventually over time.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the end of the cycle. Yeah.
Well, this is what I always you know, I always tell the kids that I'm around, that water you're drinking was dinosaur pee. They're like, what? I'm like, yep, it's the same water.
And they're like, I'm never drinking it again.
Or fish pee too.
That too, yeah. Somebody else's. Maybe yours in another life, right?
Yeah, really. Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, there's back to the working on the class, but, you know, talking about energy work all day I have been, and, you know, it's wasn't created nor destroyed on this planet. It just started and has morphed into different things. And the same with water. You know, there's the same amount of water. There's just different forms. It's in different forms. That hasn't changed. We haven't lost an ounce of water on this planet. It's just in a different form.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they also say that some of the living organisms that we have on the planet, like certain types of shrooms and stuff, there's the theory that they were frozen in an asteroid, inside of a packet of ice, traveling at the speed of an asteroid throughout the universe, just looking for some planet to hit and start to populate. So, you know, you have to imagine water is also a carrier. It's a transportation system for, you know, living organisms that want to see another spot on the planet, in the universe. So.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That is. That's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, just let me freeze for the next like 5 million years and travel in this asteroid, or maybe longer, who knows?
Yeah, yeah.
Because time is all relative.
Right?
I'll have to share my dream with you guys after this call, because it's very, just the more you were talking about everything today, I'm like, it was very intense. It jolted me awake. And so
The one that you wrote about on Facebook?
no, I guess I texted. I didn't write about a dream, did I? No.
Yeah, you did.
About
Did I?
stones. Yeah,
Oh,
about
yeah.
crystals.
Yes, that was like the good part of the dream.
Oh,
The rest
Okay,
of it
there's
was
more.
absolutely crazy. Yes. From someone dying to fish nipping at my heels.
Oh.
What? Literally?
Yes, literally.
So, okay, we're talking fish, but you can't share this now? We have to do it later?
I can, but
gonna
it's so
say, what?
crazy. Oh my gosh. Well, it's so crazy because it starts off. So it's like finishing up the alchemy of friendship. So I'm like, right in that transition time and thinking about friends. And I was on a journey and actually was going camping. And I was ended up like we were being transported to this camping and ended up at the ocean. No sunscreen because we weren't prepared to do that part of it, but we ended up, and that's when I looked down and I'm like, there's these crystals like the amethyst, and I'm like, this is so wild that this is in the ocean. Like I'm just sitting here and they're just everywhere and they're just amazing. And the rose quartz, that's what it was like, oh my gosh, and so I was like, and then I reached down and I'm like, it's a fossilized crystal, like it's a fossilized sea creature, like specifically like a shrimp and a seahorse, but you could see it was fossiled, but it had the crystals on it too, and it was just beautiful. And it was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to take a couple of these with me. So I'm like, okay, so we're moving out, and then I go, and we're supposed to go walk on to this village part, and I see a girlfriend from my past, and her whole family's there, and they're all in this dilapidated camper. But to get there, we have to cross this little body of water. And so there wasn't any phone reception. So, and we didn't know how deep it was, but it was deep enough that there were fish, and they were visible fish, big, long, visible fish. And we had to cross them to get to these people. And so when I'm walking through the water, they're all like biting at I'm just like, trying not to be fearful. It's like all the emotions and trying not to be fearful because it was like, these other ladies are doing it, so we're just gonna do it. This is our destination. Go. And then I get in this house, and I have lots of dreams with houses in it, but the camper's like a house, and I'm looking for the bathroom, and I have to go through all this stuff. And then I come out, and my friends are gone, and they couldn't wait for me to leave, to get out of the house and leave. So I'm having to travel down this road by myself. But at some point, it was actually one of the very first things is when we're heading to this camp, and I'm not with the whole group at this point, but this woman is dangling by she's gotten hurt at this adventure, and she wants to leave, and she's in a helicopter, and she's dangling, but they have her hooked by a strap, and I'm watching, and the strap loosens, and she's like, oh, you could see the fear. It was so much fear. And then the strap slides out and she falls to the ground, and you could hear her fall. And then to go back to the traveling to the camp thing is we're looking and we're walking along the highway, and there's a truck with a trailer, and it's up in the air too. And it's making these just like it should be on the road, but it's up in the air, and it's like, wow, just noticing it, thinking it's kind of unusual, but okay. Like after the lady fallen, and I'm like, all right, well, obviously we're on this adventure. Like this is an adventure. So back to the leaving, and my friends had left, and I thought, trying not to be hurt, but thinking, wow, I wish that, because they were afraid that it was going to be dark when they left. So they decided it was a good idea to leave me. And so, but I went on, and that's when I was jolted awake. So lots of that churning feeling inside. And yet, so when I'm doing my ritual for the day, and sitting down, and everything, like my brain just is processing all this different stuff, and it's like the universe is listening because it's giving me exactly what I put out there to put on paper. And it was really and it just flows right into the remembrance, the silver, like that was my card today, was silver and amethyst, and like just
water.
everything, water, focus, like it just all of this stuff, simply was just going together. The fish, just really just out there. But yet I wasn't scared. Like, it was like recognizing the fear.
The fear in others.
And myself too. I mean, because it was like, like walking a road you don't know in the dark, being left.
Right.
And yet embracing that as like, okay, it's a moment. You can't control other people. You can only control yourself. And I can choose to be in fear at that moment, or I can simply walk the path. So that's what I chose. And I walked the path, but I was literally jolted awake this morning. And
Did you wake up tired?
No, no. And I haven't been tired at all. No, it's been like this, I won't say like a nervous energy, but yet you can feel it, like that kind of thing. And then a couple of the Mercury retrograde things thrown in there with technology and that kind of thing. But I think just really crazy. One of the cards I was showing Kim before I did, so I'll pull a couple of cards for the month, and then I do the daily. And the card I pulled was right before I tried to get on the Zoom link is I meet resistance with kindness. And I was like, okay. When I couldn't get on, it was like, I mean, I had been planning on doing this for the last hour. So got that 10-minute, hey, we're getting on. And then I was like, oh, I can't get on. But I'm like, okay, it'll happen.
Let it flow.
Let it flow. That's right. Giving love and kindness.
Let it flow.
So yeah, crazy dreams, and definitely. So I don't know. I guess it's that energy that's just being kicked up.
Do you notice any certain time of the month you dream more than others? Like, do you dream more on a full moon or a new moon? Or have you noticed?
I haven't really. No, I was gonna say I haven't really noticed that, because I mean, I feel like I dream at least like half the time I can remember. Maybe not that much, maybe 40%, but still quite a bit.
Yeah.
I had a dream 2 or 3 nights ago where I was practicing my flying. And usually the parts that I remember are actually flying, like not the push off from being on the ground, but actually being in the air and going somewhere, or going somewhere and trying to stop my speed so that I can land. And a lot of times in those dreams, I choose to like crash land into a tree because I don't know how to really like lightly find the ground.
Yeah.
But in this dream, I actually was at the beginning where I take off, and I was practicing how to express anti-gravity by switching my polarity so that I was not magnetized with gravity to the ground, and that I had to push off and use my arms like I was swimming in a pool. Like, so
Yeah.
it was so it's like all of the flying has swimming motion with the legs and the arms. There's a lot of, using my arms to create that motion. And we were actually talking about that, even though we're on land and the ocean animals are in the water, we're still all inside of this H2O molecule, just different densities of it. And so, that dream was kind of a big one for me. I didn't wake up tired, but I remember very clearly turning off the gravity in my head and switching the polarity so that I could demagnetize so I could do the push off. But then when I got into the sky, I had to turn it back on in order to pull myself to where I was trying to go.
So you could control it.
I did. Yes.
The first time you have had that control in the dream?
I mean, recently, yes.
Yeah.
I've had that kind of control before.
Yeah.
But this was this was almost like a lesson. Like there was somebody there that was giving me a classroom lesson on how to do it.
That's cool.
That is cool. I'm gonna have to try that. I mean, like, really, do you go to bed thinking a certain way, or
No,
I know
no.
'cause that's what I'm like. I want to do that. Like, I think I want to, but
I mean, I spent a lot of time in my early years reading about astral projection and, focusing on like third eye meditations and that kind of thing. But I've been doing the breaststroke swimming in the air for years. It's like, woo, woo. Yeah, this is how we fly.
Yeah.
that's awesome. So you just got to pull your wings out to land.
I always choose to just
Run into the tree.
biggest tree I can find and just like break my fall in the tree. Yeah, that's the way I usually land. But I think this anti-gravity lesson helped me, because it's almost like the way you do with a clutch, where you have to learn to shh. So you have to turn it off when you're going up and then turn it back on when you're going down. So, when I land through the trees, it's literally just turning it off and going, ah, here I come in the tree. I'm sorry, tree, break my fall. Yeah.
Love it.
Well, with this remembrance theme too, is something when we went through the visualization a minute ago, something that came up that I wasn't really thinking about prior to this or preparing for this, and that was my grandmothers were there.
Oh.
And it was near water, and it was a childhood experience near the lake that I grew up on, and everything was orange. It was orange and green, and there were animals there. There were snakes there, and I wasn't scared of snakes. I would chase snakes even in my childhood, so I don't know why if I was chasing a snake, or I don't know why the snake was there, or I don't know. Anyway, but the point was the grandmothers, the remembrance of what wisdom they've passed on to us, I think might be something that I focus on meditate on over the next few days, or anyone that has passed that has left wisdom to us. I think now over the next few days, over the new moon, might be a really good time to be receptive to those messages, or just reflection on what part of me now is utilizing that wisdom that they shared.
I love that.
Yeah, definitely.
Someone else.
I felt that, Kim, in a huge way.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll remember my thought.
No, the only thing I was going to say was, yes, the grandmothers come to mind immediately, but, since then, and talking about it, and even in the writing, I threw in, someone else significant of my past that passed recently. And another person, I just thought of another person, came up in conversation last night or the night before last, out of nowhere. Like, she has not been talked about in circles or with the group that knows her or knew her in 7-8 years, and her name came up recently. So I think I want to make a list and pull together, and go ahead before you forget your thought.
Yeah, no, I mean, this morning, when I kind of was going through this physical experience of persecution, there was a very clear kind of feeling of remembrance in my body. Like, my ancestors ended this way, walking, full of conviction, ready to be a martyr, no fear, just an awareness of, okay, this game is about to be over, and then I'm going to get recycled and come back again kind of feeling. Like, it wasn't a scary feeling. It was just like, wow, the audacity of these idiots that they think they can stop me by burning me at the stake. Like, who do you think you are? I'm coming back. Like, don't get it mixed up. Just because you're claiming to have power here and I have chains on my arms doesn't mean that you're more powerful because you get to destroy me, you know? So
That's
there was definitely,
empowerment in itself.
yeah,
That each generation picks up more power from that.
yes.
That's good. That's good. So did you think at the time, though, that it was you in a past life, or just that?
I didn't actually attribute it specifically to me. It was more just a feeling of the general dynamic of, you know, church, government versus the individual, if you will.
Right.
You know, like the powers that be having the power to claim and declare your guilt over something that is actually contested, whether or not it's something that's, you know, right or wrong. It's they're making a making a judgment call and statement, and then making, you know, like a final end game decision. So it wasn't specifically related to me. It was just more of like, wow, I've not been confronted with this feeling in a long time.
So the recent, I just find it interesting with that being so open and such a big part of history, and yet all of the blind eyes that have
Yes.
been turned for so long.
Yep.
And yet now those are the veils being lifted there.
Yeah.
And yet, so are we, you know, I don't feel like a judge, but I feel that infused with love, and just because there's so many stories and you never know the truth. Like, you know, you get the person's
Only your
version
own.
of the truth. Yes, exactly. But it's your version of it's your remembrance of that.
Yeah.
You can sit down with people who have a family stories, and you all experience the same story, and you all have different versions of that story. So now's the time. Yeah. So it's like, it's your version of the truth.
Yeah.
So
What is your truth? Yeah. Yeah.
yes. Yeah. So just to infuse that love, I think that's collectively what has to happen, and just keep going more and more of love the little girl, love the little boy, and love the DNA ancestry that's infused in all of us, and just keep putting that for me. It's just that's what has to live in my heart, because otherwise I think, you know, I've just spent too many years being bitter and hard, and now I'm embracing that feminine, and it's hard. Like sometimes, I mean, I don't want to say it's hard, but it's so easy to be hard and closed up for me, because I've done it for so long, that the embracing the feminine is much harder, and yet I want to.
Well, it's more vulnerable.
Absolutely, yeah. And I don't like that feeling in the past. I'm trying to, like I said, I want to be that whole complete person.
Yeah, I mean, giving in to love, if you will, as the women or the feminine side of our personal relationships, and you know, that dynamic. There's so many layers of what that means, and I don't think there's ever an end to that truth. But it's nice to have that masculine support, you know, because when you have that masculine support, then it allows you to really fall into the feminine side. Like, I feel like I've spent so much time up to this point in my life having to be the masculine. And so with this Chiron in Aries, where it's, you know, the god of war, right? With the wounded healer for the next 9 years, saying, how do we alchemize the wounded healer and the god of war. Okay, so anybody that goes to war is going to get wounded, right? So you got to have that, because when you go to war, you're going to get hurt. So,
And there are several ways to be hurt.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, several different aspects and layers of what that wounding means.
Yeah, Miss Aries.
Exactly. Well, I love that we're doing for the retreat, we're doing Awaken the Inner Goddess, yet it's all masculine energy.
Yeah.
I love it. And when we decided that, I'm like, hell yes, let's go. That's yeah. And I wanted to drop the S off the goddess, but I knew that would change the essence of the visualization, the feel of it. But I like the idea of going into this next zodiac cycle without the gender. So we've had someone very, very close to my circle in particular, but in circle over the last few months that is non-binary. And it has opened up a lot of really interesting and fun and educational moments. And
are you talking about pronouns?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I like the thought of exploring that a little more, and what that means is, as we talk about, Aries being so masculine, and right now Pisces being so feminine, and we've talked about, the Me Too movement from women empowerment, and over the last few months we've talked about bringing men into the circle, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then here we go with this, men are wounded as well, and what is the difference in the duality of the gender, and truly the duality of the gender when we're talking about these types of wounds and healing.
Yeah.
Is it a superficial wound, might just have a little scar that we do get past, or is it much deeper than that? And how does that affect how we come at it with gender?
Yeah. Well, the attack for me today was 100% about, feminine, magical, mystical energy, and, the Zeus style God of the Old Testament, declaring that his son, the blood of Jesus Christ must be shed, and that this is, how you receive redemption. And that's a deep wounding.
Yeah.
It's a deep wound. That, the wounding that God required was, a sexual assault on all boys when they were born, in circumcision. That's like, that's a pretty intense wound for a little tiny body this big, for that kind of experience to happen. And, America's kind of alone there now. Doesn't happen in a lot of the rest of the world that isn't quite so religious. So,
yeah,
it's a deep wound. And I definitely am swimming in those back and forth emotions, because, I've had dreams where I was a man, where in the storyline, I knew that I was kind of the one that was working on the patriarchal side, manipulating and controlling and using power, and I think that's the part that a lot of people can't even bring into their gender war, gender politics conversation, that, oh, do we always stay on one side of the polarity?
Yeah.
When we come back, I don't think so. So really, we're doing this to ourselves. It's not comedy, but it is. It is the punchline.
It's funny.
It is, actually. I mean, it's pathetic, but yeah.
And you just have to have the conversations. Like, that's the thing, is like, until someone opens the door for conversation, it doesn't happen.
Right.
There goes the blind eyes, or look away completely. Let's not talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. Really?
But it doesn't stop the truth from
That's
being
right.
the way it is. And that's really what I felt more than anything today was there, there was just a feeling of collective, I guess I could call it an all-encompassing love of like, okay, this body may be burned and I may leave this life, but there's a massive creative, loving force that's going to welcome me back and then spit me back out when it's my time. And, kind of like ride the roller coaster. What else are you going to do?
One breath at a time.
Yeah.
We are at an hour, but before we start tailoring off here, I've got a question for you guys, for you women, for you beings. What is something outside of the norm? Because we all do, the three of us do a lot of things that will fall into this category. So let's think of something outside of the norm. Let's think like a Pisces, deep Pisces, deep water. How deep does it run? What's something mystical that we can bring into our month to honor us and who we are and how we come into our connection with the rest of the world as we're growing?
Is this a test?
Kinda. No, it's not a test. No, I just want us to think outside of like our norm, because we do so many things, right? I've got my morning meds, so I do all my meditations and every morning, and I'm very systematic, and I make sure I take care of my body and my mind and my spirit. And I just want to think of something that we could do. We know so many different modalities and so many different things. What's something a little different that we can spin, even if it's just over the next couple of weeks through the rest of Pisces, something that we can spin that just kind of shakes us up a bit, a fish out of water or something.
Is anybody, I've done this before in the past, but kind of water magic with water that's being consumed, like, like the tea, not reading tea leaves, but like, blessing the water and like making like drinking tea almost ritualistic. Japan loves their tea ceremonies. To me, that's like when somebody says, come over and have a cup of tea, I feel like it's so like sisterhood, like, ooh, tea. Yay. You know what I mean? Like, let's have a tea party, like little girls. I don't know.
Oh, that's
that's
a good
good.
idea.
That's
Yeah,
good.
and so I'd like to just throw in something else on that. What I'd like to see as well is for the full moon, prepare special moon water to have our tea with, and maybe have a quick little virtual tea party, maybe on the full moon, just to kind of throw it out there.
Nice. I like it. Yeah.
Kim,
So
are
yeah,
you doing circle for
I am
full
doing
moon?
circle. Yes.
Okay.
So let's do it the day after the full moon, or whatever it is, that figure out the date. But I'm thinking like set it out on the height of the full moon, and we can have our little tea party the next day.
I like it.
Yeah, I used to, for a while there, I was doing sun tea and then, crystals in my water jug. And I would change them out and stuff and charge the water, the whole concept of you can program the water. And, we've talked about this before, but the continuation of that, talking about pee, is that when you release that water that we've done this whole process with of moon water and tea ceremony and all this beautiful stuff, like it's going to go out into the world and become part of the ocean again. So it's going to influence the collective one way or the other.
Perfect. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Dinosaur pee.
Dinosaur.
Sorry, I had to.
All right. All right. We've got some good stuff. The my full moon, we've got an artist, and she's going to take a lot of time, and it's going to be so cool. She is a very fine artist in Atlanta, and I don't mean like she's fine. She is actually, she's gorgeous, but she is a very high fine artist. She's amazing, and she's been in Circle a few times, and she's going to lead and do piece of it with art and remembrance, and where they bring in photos, and she's an acoustic artist. So I'm very excited about this, and having Penny Treese. She's worked with Mo and me before.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, so I'm very excited about this. So we're not going to have time to do like moon charging for water, but I do like the idea of maybe doing that in a full moon circle in the next water sign. I guess that would be, what would that be? Cancer in a few months. But okay, but yes, for this month, yes, let's do our moon water, and then tea. What is the British, the high tea? Is that it? High noon, or what do they call it?
Yeah.
High noon, high tea?
High tea. High tea.
I like that. And why not implement, instead of high noon, let's just say high midnight, and do it before bed, some sort of herbal tea that will take us into some astral projection. Kathy, you can start utilizing that and start taking like certain images and elements and see how that works.
Sounds
Yeah,
like
Kim, I'm sure that you're familiar with some of the teas that can impact your dreams.
Yes, we should put a list together and share that with everyone in the group.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, happy new moon.
Happy new moon. You want to blow out our candle?
Sure. Sure. Mine's already died.
Did it already die? Okay.
It did. So I'll let you do the blowing, and I'll say the little closing ritual. Ready?
I'm ready.
The mystic in me sees, honors, and respect the mystic in each and every one of you. All right. Who's ready to howl?
Ready.
Can you howl? Is everybody in a good spot to howl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Breath in, out, in, howl. Okay.
Okay.
I love doing that. That is fun. All right. Love you all.
Love you.
Good night,
too.
ladies.
Good night.
Bye.